Hello and welcome back. This video is all about those moments you find yourself in the dilemma mode, when you want to make a decision, but you can't. It's specifically for empathy-powered people who have spent most of their lives tuning into others, getting to know and anticipate what others might think and how they might feel, and they forget how to tune into themselves. They forget self-trust, or maybe they never really learn it. And the dilemma mode is just one part to unpack before you can really build self-trust, before you can really build enough calm confidence to be the empathy-powered leader. Before we move on to the perspective shifts that I want to share with you and the empathic inquiry, I want to unpack this dilemma mode a little bit more so that you understand what's really going on for you in your head when you feel like this. I've also got a letter that I've received from someone who sums up this whole situation beautifully. Dear Jess, I didn't realise how much space that decision had been taking up in my head until it was gone. For weeks it was like a cloud I couldn't shift. Every time I thought about it, I'd hear a different voice. What will they think? What will they say? Will it upset them? It wasn't even my decision anymore. It belonged to everyone else. And then it all cleared. I stripped away all those outside opinions, came back to what actually matters to me, and listened, really listened, to what I already knew. The answer was there the whole time. The moment I said it out loud, it felt lighter. The fog lifted. I could see clearly again, not just about this decision, but about how I wanted to make choices from now on. It feels like I've come home to myself. Isn't that lovely? So in this dilemma mode, we feel, because we've spent so long focusing on other people and tuning into them, getting to know what their thoughts are, anticipating their opinions and sometimes their judgments. There's another video I did on others that's really pertinent to this video as well. It's really easy for us then to forget how to tune into ourselves. And what I find with most of my coaching clients is they always come with a dilemma. It's always part of the problem as such, or the challenge that they're facing, is that they've forgotten how to tune in and listen to themselves and listen to their own true voice. I've experienced this myself. I've experienced everything I speak about personally in one way or another, and sometimes, for decades. And I want to share with you actually one of the dilemmas I'm facing at the moment, but I'll do that in a minute. The dilemma mode feels horrible. Have you ever played Call of Duty? I used to play it with my stepson and my partner years and years ago. Okay. And I would be the one with the rifle in the corner looking up going, I have no idea what I'm doing and I have no idea what happens next. And that is how the dilemma mode feels for most of us. You have options, you know there are buttons you should be pressing on this PlayStation thingy, but you don't know which ones will take you to the next place, but you don't know how to get to the next room, you don't know how to move out of this zone of, it's not even freeze, it's just really annoying frustration. So when you're in that dilemma mode, it's easy to kind of go round in circles. What you'll find is that you're probably constantly thinking the same things, asking yourself the same questions and talking yourself through the same options, and then ending up back at zero, still there, still standing with your rifle in the air going, I have no idea what to do to move forward. And that's the point that normally people seek coaching support. Brilliant, that is the perfect thing to do. However, if you're not ready for that yet, then I want to talk to you more about the dilemma mode and how it might be impacting you. Because as an empathic person, we have to learn how to tune into ourselves, how to listen, and how to acknowledge that what we think and what we experience is as valid as what other people think and what other people will say and their judgment. It's as if we go overboard when we think about others. We value their opinions and their judgments more than we value our own. So when we're in this dilemma mode, we experience such frustration that in itself prevents us from moving forward. That prevents us from seeing clearly as well. So what we need to do is declutter those voices. We need to find out what we're imagining they might say, who they are, why their opinion matters so much to us at this stage of our lives. And by decluttering, it's almost as if we can learn to see through the haze. Things become clearer. So try this. Put yourself in a darkened room, or imagine putting yourself in a darkened room where you feel safe and comfortable. You might want to light a candle. You might want to take your journal with you, or you might want to record a voice memo on your phone. Because what you're physically doing is putting yourself in a position where nobody else can affect you. For 5, 10, 15 minutes, sit by yourself in this other free zone and tune into yourself. Ask yourself some simple questions. What is it that I'm really trying to find out here? What do I need clarity on? And allowing yourself time to hear the answer. Allowing yourself time to produce an answer that feels right for you, and also check in. How do the answers that are coming up for you, how do they feel in your body? What's your experience of tuning in to your own voice right now? Can you possibly park other people's opinions in this setting, in this dark room, and it's just you, and you get to decide what happens next? In that moment, what would you decide to do? What step would you take to move out of the dilemma mode and into action mode? And this video is all about how you feel when you've made that leap, when you no longer are exhausted from overthinking, when you can see clearly and make decisions quickly because you know what your intuition says, you know what the situation calls for, and you trust yourself well enough to move forward. Another beautiful thing that happens when you can move out of dilemma mode and into action and into self-trust is that when you do have setbacks, you are much better at responding to them. You aren't shaken to the core so much. You don't then get back into dilemma mode really randomly and quickly thinking, holy moly, what do I do here? You know what to do. You've learnt to listen to yourself and trust that voice, that inner voice, to call upon it when you need it. Now, another impact is especially for empathy-powered leaders who are either working for other people or working for themselves, is that it helps to build your reputation as a calm and confident person. People book coaching sessions with me because when they meet me on a clarity call, which is just 15 minutes long, they find out whether they want to work with me or not. I don't sit there thinking, how am I going to try and sell to this person? How am I going to convince them that I'm the right coach for them? Instead, I allow me and them to be in the space together, for me to decide and for them to decide whether working together is something they want to do. But I can only do that because I've done all this work on self-trust myself. I have been in the dilemma mode. In fact, I've got a personal story for you. Right now, I'm in a dilemma about one particular thing. It's ironic. It's whether I go ahead and create a dilemma course. And it will be 3-week, fairly light touch, pre-recorded content with some group activity and kind of audio support from me on how to get out of the dilemma. Now, it's a dilemma because I'm always creating products. I'm always having thoughts about the next thing. And I always want to be helping people to do things, especially if they don't feel they are ready for a proper 6-month coaching package. I want to support them in other ways. So you might know that I've run the Tamer Inner Critic. That used to be free before it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's paid for. But over 1,000 people have been through that, and it just brings me so much joy to be able to help people move out of the headspace and into action. And that's what I want to do with the Dilemma program. But I know if I go ahead with that right now, it's going to take me several days to pull the content together. Several days I can think, oh, actually I've got some stuff already. I've written loads of homework notes for my clients on the dilemma mode. I've got content. So in one way it might be really quick for me to pull together and see what happens. On the other hand, I like to do things quite thoroughly. I want to have things prepared nicely. I want a nice little page that outlines exactly what you're going to get for your commitment. So if I get out of this dilemma mode, when I get out of this dilemma mode, I'll let you know, or you might be able to see in the links below that there is a course live that's called something like the Dilemma Code or Breaking the Dilemma. Let me know anyway in the comments if it's something that you'd be interested in that will help me break this dilemma for myself. So you see, I'm only human, but when we get caught in dilemma modes all of the time, sometimes those dilemmas are much bigger. They're more life-changing. You know, the coaching clients that come to me might be saying, do I leave this job? I don't see myself getting promotion within the next 3 years. I would like to be in a leadership role, but I don't know how to make that happen. So you can see how getting out of the dilemma mode and making that leap to self-trust and becoming an empathy-powered leader is going to serve you hugely, whether you're employed or self-employed. And because I'm trying to focus on the joys of empathy and the joys of being empathic, I also want to point out this one thing that happens when you do get to a place of self-trust, because other people detect it. Other people will see you differently when they feel like you trust yourself more, when they see you making statements or sharing opinions with your calm confidence, and they will come to you. And I know this happens because I've had plenty of previous coaching clients saying this to me. How did you become such a calm and confident leader? Two things happen when you have moved out of the dilemma mode and towards self-trust, and you're now an empathy-powered leader. The first thing that happens is that you feel it. You feel the sense of heart expansion. Does that mean anything to you? For me, it's an element of warmth that feels like it's expanding within me. I know when I've made the right decision, and I certainly know when I've made the wrong one, or if I'm about to make the wrong one. It's an embodied experience in this way. But the other thing that happens is that other people see that. I've actually had coaching clients come to me saying, oh, by the way, someone asked me at work how I got to where I am as a leader and how I manage in the way that I do, and I recommended you. Someone else said, oh, by the way, I often think about you and our process together, even though it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and how I always build my self-trust. I always ask, not just what does Jess think, what would Jess say, but now I ask myself, what do I think about this? What's really going on? What do I want to happen? What do I want to make happen next? So other people can see that. It's like it reveals itself as maybe self-assurance, a steadiness, a grounded leadership approach to decisions and to other people. It's lovely. Anyway, let us move on into the 3 perspective shifts and then into the empathic inquiry. Perspective shift number 1. Clarity isn't a lightning bolt. It's a clearing of the haze. Don't expect magical aha moments. Sometimes they do reveal themselves. Sometimes I've had that experience. But mostly it's a stepwise, long-term adjustment for you to make to continually begin to come back to yourself again and again and again, and it's with practice that this can happen. If I do pull the course together, the dilemma mode or dilemma code, whatever I decide to call it, I'll be taking you through those steps to help you quickly move out of dilemma mode and into action. But it's only one of very many steps that you'll be taking towards self-trust and building that sense of knowing yourself and the sense of being able to lean on yourself when you really need to. Perspective shift number 2. Your values are the only thing that counts here. Your values, coming back to them, what things matter to you, what things motivate you. If you've lost sight of those, then it's going to be really easy for you to be stuck in dilemma mode. But if you know what they are, if you can reconnect with those, that's going to help you move out of the dilemma into the decision and moving forward, because you'll remember what feels right to you. And you'll remember how it feels when something feels right to you. Perspective shift number 3 is about breaking free of those what if scenarios. You can list the pros and cons. You can say, what if this, what if that, what if this? But actually it's really about finding clarity at this point. And this is where putting yourself in a dark room or imagining yourself in a darkened room where nobody else matters, nobody else has an opinion, nobody can say anything or judge you in any way. What matters to you? What do you feel you ought to do next? What do you feel you want to? What do you feel called to do next? Let's move into the empathic inquiry section now. I've got 3 reflective questions for you. They're juicy. Are you ready? Question 1. Whose opinion matters more than my own? Now, this might be easy for some of you to do. It certainly is for me. I know who, I have a Greek chorus of people in my head, if you like, my go-tos. They're really random. They would probably be very surprised if they ever knew that they had space in my head. But they're people who matter or who have mattered. They are people whose opinion I have at some point respected, but they're also people who aren't necessarily anymore in my life. So it can be so weird, it can be so random. These others, the brain works to protect us from humiliation, the brain works to protect us from making mistakes. And that's what's happening in the dilemma mode. That's why these other people seem to be so much more important than you are, than your opinion. And that's what we're trying to get to in this empathic inquiry. So question 2 is, if I stripped away every outside opinion, what would I choose? And the third question for you, how will I feel in 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 months if I don't take action on this thing? If I don't make a decision? I'll leave that with you. So that's your empathic inquiry. And I just want to say that this whole episode and this playlist is all about the joy of being empathic. So I'm trying to focus on the good things. And here, the good thing is empathy-powered leaders eventually build self-trust. So much so that other people learn to trust and lean on them as well. And what I want for you here is to begin to stop listening to other people or even their imaginary judgments in your head and start listening to yourself. Begin to find a way to tune into yourself and make the space, declutter, and get some clarity on what you think, where your values are, what motivates you, what feels right in your body. Now in the next video, I'm going to stay with the joy of being empathic, and we're going to be talking about communication, and particularly with empathy-powered leaders who make the leap from being someone who dares to speak up in a meeting or no longer spends 3 hours ruminating about an email and then rereading it 3 times once it's already been sent. They go into a new space where they speak from a place of clarity and self-trust, and equally other people come to them for their opinion. They're not having to kind of wait for the right moment to start saying something. There's space for them in every meeting to talk, and people say, hey, Jess, what's your opinion? What do you think about this thing? What do you think we should be doing here? And that's a real turning point for a lot of people, especially when you're so used to worrying about what others are going to think, or being rude if you interrupt, or finding that right time to speak up. There's something that happens when you become an empathy-powered leader, in that it makes space. And other people, instead of you having to push for your voice to be heard, people are leaning into you and wanting to listen to you and wanting to know what you think about what's happening. So that's the theme of the next video. It's all about communication, taking it to the next level. And for now, take a look at the links below. If I am deciding to run the dilemma course, you'll find a link to it. If it's not there, I clearly didn't, but do let me know if it's something that we're interested in anyway, and leave a comment to say, Jess, I would definitely like to be interested in the dilemma mode and getting out of it. I want to build self-trust. And I think that's all for it for now. But if there's anything else you want to say, if there's any message you want to send me, I have been getting some of them, so thank you so much. I'm really glad that some of you are enjoying these videos. Some of you found the Empathy in Overdrive series really useful. I'm so glad. That's why I am here. I want to get you thinking differently. I don't want you to feel stuck. I want you to feel free. I want you to take the next step in the right way for you as an empathy-powered leader to be. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.